Agent of Treachery. It's 5 and 2 blue for a human rogue, 2/3. Stats suck. That's probably not going to matter. It enters, you gain control of okay, this is like the other card, but it's any permanent, so this does do creatures. At the beginning of your end step, if you control 3 or more permanents you don't own, draw 3 cards. We like that. We like drawing cards. But you would have to wait to find... So you'd have to find ways to, like, replay this. So you'd either have to, like, reanimate it or, like, flicker it or do something like that. Which I don't think that's very difficult to do in your game. Also, it would just be so annoying. You just keep playing this and just keep taking your opponent's stuff. People hate that. It's interesting because you showed me Commandeer and now you're showing me this.
Why would I do those things?
Why
How
would
could
you
they
do that?
possibly be related?
Well, I mean, I think this is better. Because it's any permanent, so it means you can take creatures with it, which is very important. I don't know how relevant the second line of text is, because it's hard to like tell how efficiently you can steal a bunch of your opponent's stuff. But if you're playing a deck that has like other effects that do that, it doesn't have to just be this guy. But maybe he's good enough on his own. You just play it anyway. What other... Is there any other like stealing your opponent's stuff? It's permanent, right? It's like you just get this like indefinitely until they deal with it, correct?
Actually, agent is worded such that even if you deal with the agent, they keep the permanent until something else.
Yeah, that's what
like
it seemed like. It didn't seem like it was like tied to
Yeah.
the agent or anything. Is that like uncommon? Like usually is like if you steal something, it's like tied to the card type of thing?
I'll show you I'll show you what's a pretty normal printing of this effect. That might help.
Sure.
So
yeah, that might give me some context.
Here is a rare from a recent set, Mind Flayer.
Okay. This is 3 and 2 blue for a 3/3 horror. Dominate monster. When Mind Flayer enters, gain control of target creature for as long as you control Mind Flayer. Okay, so this is like it's tied to it, so if you kill this, you get the thing back. So that's like more common. Okay. Yeah, stealing stuff permanently is huge. Especially if it's not tied to anything either, because that means you just keep it. And if there's, like, I'm just, like, Yu-Gi-Oh! Braining, just, like, you just, like, dump this to your graveyard somehow and just cheat it out for, like, free. You're never paying 7 mana for this. So having access to that when your opponent has, like, some good stuff is pretty good. And then, again, if you have stuff to just, like, keep reanimating it or keep re-entering it, you keep taking your opponent's stuff. It's really annoying. They have to ban this? In your game specifically, I could see this potentially getting out of hand. I don't think like in Yu-Gi-Oh! It would, because it's like hard for us to like like we don't have like the flicker effects. Like we just have like reanimate or like cloning effects. So like you could clone this guy and then all of a sudden it's like you can take something else. And so there's like that sort of thing. Like we don't have that stuff. So I think in your game, this card's way better than in our game. We also have very few cards, now that I think about it, that like take control of something permanently. That's not tied to the card itself. I'm struggling to think of one. I'm sure the comments will get to it. Given all that, maybe they did ban this. I could see this getting really annoying from like a play perspective. Sure, I'll say they banned it.
But they banned Agent of Treachery.
I think
the players were angry.
I think so. I like it. Like getting one thing stolen is one thing, but like if that's like the whole deck and it's like just keeps taking their stuff and you still have to deal with this, like that just seems really frustrating.
So you are looking at the card that finally in June of 2020, you're noticing a theme of all the year all these things got banned. In June of 2020, this is the card that finally got Fires of Invention banned.
Oh,
Agent of Treachery.
Okay.
And the way that it did it was actually, it was kind of clever and like super degenerate. So first of all, I'm going to mention that this deck also often its 3 mana play would be Teferi, so that you were locked out of doing things on their turn.
Sure, makes sense.
Its 4 mana play would often be Fires of Invention. And then the deck ran this card.
Transmogrify? 3 and a red sorcery, exile target creature. That creature's control reveals cards from the top of their library until they reveal a creature card. That player puts that card onto the battlefield and shuffles their... Okay, I get it. So basically, you just play... You only play Agent of Treachery in your decks. You always hit it.
Yep. So you have Agent of Treachery in your deck, and you have these 2 cards. Now, Lukka, Coppercoat Outcast is a planeswalker whose -2 ability does what Transmogrify does. That's the only part that's relevant here.
Right, because you're just trying to keep copying it.
It's basically 2 more of this effect in 1 card, which meant if the opponent didn't deal with it, it was going to happen again the next turn, because Lukka was basically 2 Transmogrifies in 1. And you might be wondering, where does the creature come from that you target if the only creature in your deck is Agent of Treachery? Well, we're Magic. We have creature tokens for days. So they just ran spells that made creature tokens. And then they would use, in fact, there were lands that made tokens, and you could use your lands to make the token because you play Fire of Invention, so you didn't have to tap your mana to cast these spells.
Okay.
So what would often happen is you play a Fires of Invention, and then the next turn, like, you do something that generates a token, you do something that turns the token into an Agent of Treachery, and you do another thing that turns that Agent of Treachery into another Agent of Treachery. And what did you steal?
What a cool deck. What
did you steal? What would you steal from an opponent with this play?
Their lands, right?
They rarely stole the creatures. They rarely stole the enchantments. They rarely even stole the planeswalkers. Normally, the right play with this Fire Lukka deck was to go straight to their lands. If they didn't have lands in the mirror match, their Fires was not effective because you have to have lands on the battlefield to make Fires cast the spells for free. And against everything else, well, let's just say nothing is effective without lands. This was a land destruction combo deck in Standard, and everyone hated that.
Oh, I bet people don't mess with their lands. Cardinal rule, right?
Yep. And it was taking over. I think it was up to 60-something% of MPL play and on the rise. That's the Magic Pro League, by the way.
Yeah.
So in June of 2020... not that long after Ikoria was released. Let's see. Ikoria released in April. That's where Lukka came from. June, they banned Agent of Treachery and Fires of Invention.
Hell yeah.
Bye-bye.
Hell yeah. Let me ask you a question. Do you think if it's a non-land permanent that this deck would still be good?
That's a great question. I honestly, would the deck be good? Yes. Would they need to ban it? Maybe not. Maybe not.
Because like the fact that it doesn't go after lands makes it way less degenerate. I still think it'd be really annoying. But no lands is a big difference for sure.
Yeah. Also, you just can't get rid of the lands. So while you can look at Agent of Treachery, and this is still a popular commander card, and people do use it, when you look at Agent of Treachery, and it says at the beginning of the end step, if you control 3 or more permanents you don't own, draw 3 cards. That wasn't the main draw to the card, obviously. Sure. Like, that was kind of the gravy as people saw it. Yeah. But if you stole 2 or 3 lands, there's no land interaction. There's no land destruction, really, that's printed in Standard anymore. So it wasn't hard to accumulate 3 of the opponent's lands. And if you got that draw 3 off one time,
it's just over.
Yes, they're buried. They're finished.
It's done. Yep.
Yeah, and also because you're land ramping when you steal lands with an Agent of Treachery, it wasn't uncommon for Teferi Time Raveler to bounce the agent and then recast it for free because of fires.
That's sick.
Once you got to 7
disgusting.
lands. And then every
God.
Teferi is another land. And
oh my God, that's gross. That's very Yu-Gi-Oh. I love it.
Yeah, this is where I go back and we talk about fire design and how fun and replayable and exciting. Anyway, they've been dunked on a lot, but
understandably,
let's just say nobody liked that. Absolutely,
I can see why. Yeah, for sure. I sense the degeneracy. I didn't realize it was as bad as it was, but I get it. Yeah, cool deck though. Like in theory, like obviously it's degenerate, but I think like conceptually, it's a neat concept.
Yeah, I credit the inventors of the deck 100%. Yeah. And the first time you play against it, you're like, oh my God, this actually works. Oh my God. Oh my God. Like,
I can see that. And then you're like, oh, this is like the best thing I could be doing. Yeah.
Yeah. And then every deck is like, well, I go second. I don't think by the time I have 3 lands, they'll have like 6 lands and 2 will be mine. Yep. You know, it's terrible. It's just absolutely terrible. All right.